I have the privilege and honor to work alongside with Miriam Delicado, and I would like to introduce her onto the stage now. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Wow. I heard that this was happening yesterday. Hello, Carrie. Good morning. Yeah, we can take those. I have 1 hour today, and I was thinking that it wasn't a lot of time. But I know that whatever it is that Big Bai and I have to share will be really heard by everyone here. What's happening now?
Good morning. This is my sister, ladies and gentlemen. No.
Hey, can I have a hug too?
Okay, this is Miriam Delicado, and I'm Carrie Cassidy, and this is Bill Ryan. And good morning for the second full day of Awake and Aware 2011. Thank you for coming. And we have a huge lineup today, so hope you all have a good amount of energy to listen to all the information that's going to be put out and all the love and wonderful energy. We have Big Bai, and I don't know, how do you know how to say his last name? Enetjanima, and he is a lovely individual. He's going to be here. Miriam's going to separately introduce him, but I just wanted to say, I just wanted to say his name actually. No. But no, Big Bai is a wonderful person. I already know him. I knew him from prior lives, so I recognized him instantly. It was quite interesting. At any rate, I just want to say that Miriam Delicado is a very, very lovely person. And I wanted to say that, I don't know if people have seen her interview with Camelot, but initially I psychically came across her book and her. I think I heard a bit of her speaking on Coast to Coast or something, and then I just knew that Camelot had to interview her. And I guess the rest is history, as they say. But we have had a long relationship, and there are many, many interviews with Miriam, both audio and video, on our website. So if you haven't listened to them, she talks about the Hopi, the indigenous peoples around the world, and how important it is to unite the consciousness and to bring forward the knowledge of the indigenous peoples at this time, during this crucial juncture as we pass through into the alignment of the Milky Way with the galactic center, etc. And so I'm going to now pass the mic over to Bill to say a few words, and then we'll let Miriam go ahead.
I'm not going to say anything except that this is my friend, Miriam Delicado, delighted to be here. I just came up here to get a hug, and we need to give her all the time that we possibly can do. Miriam, it's all yours.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, I better start talking fast now. I was just going to say that it was really incredible, Bill and Carrie, to be here. I'm having an extraordinary time, as always, with the Project Camelot family, and just love each and every one of you for being thinkers and people that are motivated to do and to move and to create. For the beautiful presentation before, how fitting that before we are going to be bringing Big Bai up, that we are honored to have these ancient tools of sound of the didgeridoo played for us, originally from the Aborigines in Australia. It's actually one of my favorite sound tools that's there. And then, of course, the ancient Tibetan singing bowl. I always get nervous at the beginning of any presentation that I do, so I tend to babble a bit before I get myself focused, and I don't plan what I share, because I believe that for each of us, with each group that I've been blessed enough to participate with, there are the threads of consciousness that lie within each and every one of the groups and the individuals, and that we have the ability to be able to join all of these groups and people, which has of course become my life work. It's my focus. It's what I think of every waking minute. How can we as humanity come together? My story is really unique, as every person out there has a unique story. But my story takes me back to the beginning of my life, having an extraordinary childhood with psychic abilities and extraordinary visions and experiences that I had growing up. And then at the age of 22, I had what I call, first and foremost, a deeply, deeply spiritual moving experience where I had contact with tall, blonde-haired, blue-eyed extraterrestrials in the physical form. An interesting note that I'll share for the first time in the public is that I had a conversation just before I came here to the United States a few weeks ago. And one of the people that was in the car with me 24 years ago is finally beginning to remember. And I find this really interesting because as we're going through all of these changes, each one of us individually, we are remembering who we are. We remember where we've come from. And most importantly, we remember where we're going. So, thank you. There's so many things that I could talk about. We can talk about energy, we can talk about the stars, we can talk about ETs, we can talk about all of these things, but really, and this is really what all of the presenters have been bringing to us, is a different perspective from a different point, from a different place. And in this journey that I've had personally, I've been blessed. I mean, deeply, 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 deeply blessed. Because I had these extraordinary experiences with these beings. And they showed me, they told me, they allowed me to experience and to see who we are as human beings, as humanity, why we're here, to have this experience of life, to learn from one another, to capture this wondrous environment that we're in. But we are destroying ourselves. As a whole on the planet, we are destroying ourselves. And this was the message 24 years ago. For 4 years I've been public, and for 4 years people have said, what's the message? And I've said from the beginning, the message is that we need to remember who we are. And that there's a process in doing that. And some of these things are not complicated. And if there's one thing today that I would like all of you to really think and ponder on, and everyone out there that's going to be watching from around the world, it's a question that says, what am I doing in this moment? And what am I doing today to create balance within me and balance in our world? Because the path that we're on right now has been a destructive path. It's evident, it's everywhere. But here's the wondrous part. With all of the negativity that people will bring forward and say that the world is going to crash, and even I'm going to tell you that there's going to be destruction. More earthquakes are coming. Food shortages are coming. There are things that are coming to us that are going to be extremely difficult as we go through this transitional process. But what I know also is that every single thing that these beings told to me all those years ago, every single one of them has manifest into this world, including my relationship with the Hopi, including my relationship with the Dogon. These things were foretold to me 25 years ago. And there is a great deal more to come. So what is it that makes this path so important with the Indigenous? Well, 25 years ago, they said to me that the Indigenous people were the original people of this earth. They were the caretakers of this earth. And that they understood the relationship between the earth, humanity, and the universe. And we can talk about the beautiful physics. We can talk about that, and I love to hear it because I understand. We can talk about the spiritual aspects of it, and it all interconnects with this weaving that's going on the planet between individual to individual, between the Indigenous group and a next Indigenous group. The Indigenous of the planet are waiting, and I know that they are. They're waiting for us to be ready to hear them. They've been here longer than most of us. And we want to talk about secrets and conspiracies. Ooh, let me tell you, you have not heard anything until you sit with an Indigenous person who has listened to the history of their people and how their world has been destroyed brick by brick, point by point. And it is the manifestation into our world, into this material world. And now that we're being affected by it, we're screaming out saying there's something wrong. Oh my gosh. But we didn't think about it when the Indigenous were saying we need to pay attention to our water. We need to pay attention to our food. We need to pay attention to our land and the human spirit. So this whole information flow that's beginning to take place with these people is really important. This is not about, I want my land and, give me $1 million and all that kind of stuff, and I want to mine my own land and this kind of thing. This is not about this. This is about survival. Survival of the planet, of the people on the planet. I've seen miracles happen in Hopi. I've been privileged to be there. I have not been given sit-downs and talk about prophecy and being told all of these different things that people expect that I have. That's not the relationship that I have with them. I honor them. I respect their privacy. And I understand that the privacy comes from recognizing that maybe we're not ready. We are not ready. I'm here to ask all of you to get ready. Because when we move forward, they have the truth. They know where we came from. They know how we came into being. They know what we need to do in order to restore our souls and our connection to each other in the universe. They know how it is that the language that we use, the sound, the tones that we use with each other destroys. They know how it is that the mind is manipulated and changed in order to change the environment that's around us. But most importantly, what they have is the knowledge to be able to restore the balance. But one thing is going to be required of each and every individual that's out here, and that is respect. To respect yourself enough and them to hear what it is that's happening and what it is that they're saying and then acting on it. Can we get a couple of chairs up here, please? Thank you. Recently, a few months ago, some things happened. It's a story and a half. I started to have some really strong visions and a lot of meditation and just calling out to Creator and saying, you know, we got to start doing this. We have to start coming together. We have to start unifying, and we have to start, you know, this process of coming together. And through a set of, you know, blessings of Creator, I was privileged enough to have traveled to New York, and where I went with two Hopi, and we were able to meet with the Mamos of Colombia, which is wonderful, the Kogi, Arhuaco, Wiwa, and Canquamo, beautiful people from Colombia, indigenous group, and also with the Dogon, and many others that were there and present as well. But something extraordinary happened there, something extraordinary. And the only reason that I can share this is because it's already in the public, okay? Is that the Dalai Lama was at a peace summit at this event. And the Colombian Mamos, the Hopi, and the Dalai Lama stood in a room together. And to me, this is significant. To me, this takes me somewhere else. Because these are the things, these are the visions that were given to me all those years ago by these beings. So I recognize that we're on the verge of something great, a great, great change. Richard Hoagland gave a presentation, if anyone didn't know that. He said a lot of things yesterday, but he's talked about this very special timing, from what I understood. To me, I recognize these special timings as points whereby great change has the potential to happen. Not just that it is, but it has the potential to happen. So we have the potential right now to be able to make a great change. I also recognize that there's certain points where even if only a few people come together, they have the ability to change the world. It does not take 144,000. It does not take 1 million people. It could be the people in this room. If each and every one of you right now said and made the commitment in your heart, your mind, your soul, your being to sacrifice what it is that you have in your big old house at home and your cars and your this and your that, and you said, okay, you know what, I am going to commit to the path of change, we would do it right now. So, I'm going to ask Bikbai to come up in just a moment. And I'm going to, I didn't script anything. I'm trying to relay that there's something special that's about to happen here. The indigenous people have prophecies. Am I qualified to talk about them? No. Am I indigenous? No. Have I been given permission by any group or tribe to speak? No. But I will share with you the tiny bit of perception and understanding and truth that I have in this regard. Prophecy. What is a prophecy? What is a prophecy? A prophecy is a timeline. It says, I see something that is far into the future. If I keep walking on this path, I am going to get hit by an arrow. So what do? Do we keep walking? Yeah, I'm deaf, I'm dumb, I'm turning around, I'm dancing, I'm doing all these things. No. You pay attention, you say, hey, you know what? I know that up the road that there's an arrow that's going to hit me. What do I do? What do I do? Okay, there's another path here. You begin to take the other path. That is a prophecy. Prophecy does not mean doom, gloom, destruction, death, dying, all these things that are out in the public. It's become so harmful and hurtful. The blue star prophecy of the Hopi people. Whew, that's a big one, isn't it? Is there a single person in this room that does not know what the blue star prophecy of the Hopi is? Can you raise your hand for me? There is a very small handful of people out there that don't know what this is. The Hopi Blue Star prophecy is a prophecy that was brought forward of many prophecies, and it talks about the day when a blue star would appear, and that this would be the sign that, you know, certain other events were going to be coming thereafter. They have another one about the red star coming, the blue star and then the red star. Well, I'm not going to get into it too deeply, but to say, go and look it up if you're not familiar with the Blue Star prophecy. Go and Google it. And then I'm going to tell you this. Everything that's on the internet, 85-90% of it is incorrect. It's not truthful. It's not clear. It's not accurate. And the Hopi people who are there to create balance in our world are now being used because of the Blue Star prophecy to say, okay, well, this is going to happen, so this is the Blue Star prophecy. Okay, there's going to be massive destruction, we're going to die, and all these other things. It's like fear, 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 fear. And they sit back, and every time I go there, they look at me and they say, what are they doing? And I'm going to tell you exactly what they say. Don't they understand? Don't they understand that they're creating it? That if they have the fear inside of themselves, they are creating it? So here's the thing. The Blue Star prophecy is a prophecy that's very complicated. Have they ever sat down and even told me the whole thing? No. But I know that there is much more than what it is that's out in the public. And I myself have been able to piece it together from slight conversations I've had out there. Certain things. And I can say that, 80% of that prophecy is not in the public. So please, please, I say it here officially to the world, because I asked someone when I was out there recently, I said, what do you want me to tell the world? And they said very clearly, very, very clearly, and understand that I'm not going to tell you who this was, other than to say that yes, they were a very important person in Hopi. They were part of that, part of the people that hold those prophecies, okay? And here's what they said. They said, tell the people, we are going to be okay. Tell the people, we are going to be okay. So this is a really important message. It's maybe not technical. And I love these two guys sitting beside each other. It's maybe not technical, but I'm sharing something that's exceptionally important for humanity. Okay? The history of the people of this planet goes way back to the beginning of the existence of life. Okay? And some of the ancient cultures on this planet still have this knowledge, and it's hidden. The question is why? Why is it hidden? Why are they not sharing it? Oh, those people, don't they understand what kind of a time we're in? Don't they understand we need to share this now? Don't they understand? Don't they understand? Well, guess what? They really do understand. We're the ones that don't. We're the ones that don't. They sit back and they watch us like children. They say, what are they doing? Okay, let's see if we can help. Let's see if we can support them. And they give us a clue to something. And they say, okay, here's a clue. Here's a secret. Here's a guideline. And then what do? We run over, we snatch it, and then we run off and we start to say, okay, now I get it. Now I understand everything. Okay, now I'm intelligent. Now I've got it all figured out. Here's the path, and I'm going to go running down that road towards the arrow. And you're not stopping to consider all of the pieces of this puzzle, which primarily lie within you. Within. Nassim was talking, and I listened to Nassim's presentation about. Well, I can't even repeat it, Nassim, sorry. But what I can say is this, is that I really, really, really respect what he's bringing forward, because even for all people, we can relate to the physics of this, that we're all interrelated. So Is somebody going to give me a time for how long I've been up here, please? If someone could do that for me, I'd appreciate it. Sorry? It's 9 o'clock. Okay, thank you. All right. So here's the thing. Here's what's happening right now. Everyone's screaming for knowledge. What is it that's happening? 2012, 2012, 2012, 2012, 2012, 2012, 2012. Ooh, I want you to stop for a moment. I want you to close your eyes. Each and every one of you, I want you to close your eyes. I'm going to say this. Be very aware of what it is that you see or feel. 2012. Do you have fear? Do you have imbalance? What is it that you felt when I said 2012? Because I can pretty much tell you that, again, 2012 is not necessarily, okay, well, obviously it's only the Mayans that have the answer to our planet. All the other ancient cultures don't know anything. Please. 2012 was a number, a calendar that was brought forward. When Big Bye comes up, we're going to talk about the calendar a little bit from the Dogon. The calendars, all of the ancient cultures have calendars, or they have prophecies, or they have something that's telling us where we are and where we're headed, okay? It tells us about this transitional time that we're in and where we're going and what we're doing. This is my personal knowledge. So the question again, what is it that they have that's so important? Well, they have answers. If you want the truth, they have it. If you want to know who you are, they'll be able to tell you. I said this to Big Bye yesterday. I said, you know, Big Bye, we're going to be able to gauge where we are and how far we are in the process of humanity coming together and creating balance again. And we will be able to actually have a very clear perspective to be able to gauge where we are. And that is how we view, interact, listen to, and apply what it is that Indigenous people have to say. If you want to ask yourself, are you part of the human family? You ask yourself, how do you interact with Indigenous people who are the caretakers of this earth, who have given their lives, their families' lives, their ancestors' lives for us? If it was not for them, our lands all over the earth would already be destroyed. They are the last stronghold of humanity. And they are under attack like you would not believe at this time. Because they have some of the richest land left on the planet. So any and all means are being utilized in order to take that from them. But the history says something. The ancient history of all of these people says something really important. They also know how it is that they will be able to overcome these difficulties. How it is that they will be able to stop this process of invaders coming in and taking over. We've heard a lot of conversation about how this is happening on the planet. I don't like to point fingers at anyone. In the sense of, saying government or corporations or, this group or that group. I'm going to just say that, there's a point in the human evolution that we need to wake up, and accept that you are responsible. Look, I'm wearing a pair of shoes that probably got made with a ton of water. I'm wearing a nice little t-shirt, a pair of jeans. I got a car sitting at home. I'm filling it up with gas. I'm complaining if I can't get my coffee in the morning because I got a headache. Come on. What is this? This is reality. I went to Menla. I'm going to switch this up again. I went to Menla, which is a Buddhist retreat center out in New York, and I was blessed. Some amazing people showed up. Some incredible people showed up. And when they came, I immediately recognized them. Man, my recognition of these people goes back thousands of years. I had an awareness of them that was so deep that I have never in my existence in this life had such a deep connection with these people. So who are they? Approximately 20 years ago, the Dogon, elders of the Dogon, came together and said, we need to begin to share our knowledge with the world. So they said, what are we going to do about this? They took someone and they sent him to North America and said, begin to share this knowledge. His name was Master Naba Lamosa Mordenbig. What is it? Is that right? Mordenibig. Okay, I don't think I got it right, but we'll get there. So 20 years ago, he was sent here, and through that process, the gentleman that I'm going to bring up here, Bikbai, met Master Naba and became his student. And so he is a Naba. He is of the Dogon priesthood of the people in Africa. They call it Merita, so I will only say this one more time. Africa, they call Merita, M-E-R-I-T-A, Merita. Okay, so that's the reference from this point forward. So what happened is, and what I have learned is this, is that in the time of the pharaohs, when the, and I know that Bikbai is going to come up, and if I say anything that's inaccurate, he will set it straight for us. So at the time of the pharaohs, when the invasions began, the pharaohs said to the Dogon, who were the master builders, the master gardeners, the master silversmiths, the master goldsmiths, and they said to them, including the master priests who held the sacred knowledge from that time also, and said, go, hide yourselves. Carry the knowledge with you and hide yourselves. Well, that is a bloodline, okay? That's who the Dogon are, and they are all over Merita. The people that, at this point that I have the contact with here have been coming from Burkina Faso in Merita. And Master Naba was sent here to share some of this Kemetic knowledge with the West in order to what? In order to what? To raise the consciousness, to give us a greater understanding of who we are. Okay. So Bikbai, in the mid-90s, is that right, Bikbai? In the mid-90s, had a passing, just sort of, the way we always meet these incredible people, and then they change our lives. He had this experience. And so for the next 15 years, he was taken under the wing of Master Naba and was taken to Merita, has been trained and learned from the Dogon priests in Burkina Faso, in Africa, in Merita. So here's the thing. The Dogon is a bloodline that shares this knowledge, and they've made this leap, this step, this faith. But let me make something really clear to you. He's not going to tell you secrets. He's not going to tell you all those intimate details, because guess what? You have to work for it. So if you want to know the secrets of the ancient cultures to the point where you're just going to have a great open conversation, then you need to do the work. But I can tell you something else. I've had the opportunity to spend time with Bikbai, with the people from the Earth Center schools, which is something that Master Naba started in the West. So if you want to know about this, you have the opportunity. It's your choice. They'll share it with you, certain knowledge, including the hieroglyphic language. In all the years that I have been out here in the public, I can tell you one thing, and this includes other groups and people that I've had a great deal of contact with. I've never met anyone like the Dogon. There was a man that came here from Merita named Merita, Africa. And his name is Erita, Naba Erita Shenmira. And I have had the honor of meeting him. Master Naba was his father, so he is of the Dogon priesthood line. I've never met people that are more honorable. My 3 sisters sitting here in the second row. These people respect each other, they honor each other, and they move forward in a way that I have never encountered in my life. When they have talked about the hieroglyphics and the language of the Kemetic people and how it relates to the religions and the people around the planet, it is mind-blowing. In 2 hours that I sat in a class with them, that I was privileged enough to sit in on, in 2 hours, I learned more in that 2 hours than I've learned in years being around other people. About the interconnectedness between the language, how we're being suppressed, what it is that we're doing, how to enlighten ourselves, and how to stop this process of the internal mind that's turned to mush. And I know that every day that I have the opportunity to be with these people, I will become more enlightened. And I will be able to share more and more of this process with you as well. So I'd like to introduce to you Bikbai Inajnima, who is the person who is head of the schools here in North America. Could I get another mic up here? Is that possible? So, we have 15 minutes, and maybe I'll be like Richard and take a couple more minutes. So I'm just going to pass this over to Bikbai, and he can share. I just would like to say to Bikbai myself that I'm very honored. I'm deeply honored, and I'm grateful for your presence. Thank you.
Mech bekat, ik recht net Rini Bikbai Ujai. This, if I translated that, I said, good morning, how is everybody? My name is Bikbai, greetings. In the Meduneter language, or what most people know as the hieroglyphic language, it is a living language that is not dead at all. It has been preserved and spoken in the initiation camps all over Merita. I'm very happy to be here. So, what should we talk about?
Okay. First of all, let me, just say that we've talked about in the conference quite a bit, Bikbai, about the position of the stars and how it is that they relate to where we are today. This is a really, 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 really big subject to the Dogon, because their understanding of the relationship between humanity and the stars and the position and all of those can't be explained in 15 minutes, probably about 8 minutes at this point. So how is it that we can, what is it in this that we can use in order for, as far as knowledge, Bikbai, that you think would benefit us as far as the position of the stars, the Sirius star system? How does that benefit us as human beings?
Well, there are certain times throughout the year where these stars have different energetic effects on the planet and on all of us on the planet, the animals, the nature itself. there's ways of using these different energetic fluctuations to achieve different things, whether they're spiritual-based things, or whether it's something specifically with the earth itself. Crops, this is how we time growing crops and planting and things like that. Oh, wow, we got 30 minutes.
Thank you, Carrie.
You know, this is it's a very interesting subject, and it's a big part of our traditions when we talk about the Sirius star, because this is this is how we measure our time division, using the Sirius star. Time is just a cycle, and why the Sirius star is used is because it's the only astronomically precise cycle that can be observed, the only one where this precision. We use cycles of 1461 years, which completes one cycle. During this period, we know the heliacal rising. Many people have heard of the heliacal rising before. This happens. At that point, the time as we know it, it goes back to zero and goes all the way up again to 1461 years, then back to zero. That's one cycle, 1400, and many cycles of that. What has happened is, if you take that number, 1461, and if you break that down to days, you will have what we call a year, 365 days, which is really a seasonal year. It's not a year. It's a year based on the seasons. And it's really difficult to base time division on cycles of the sun or the moon, because, well, for the sun to be in the exact same position, it takes over 50 years. Although when you look, it might appear that it's back in the same position, but it's not. And for the moon, it takes over 15 years for the moon to be in the exact same position again, to complete one cycle. So if you take the seasonal years as we know it, you have 1 year of 365 days, another year of 365 days, another year of 365 days. Then that fourth year is 366 days, which everyone know that to be called the leap year, where there's an extra day that, so the seasonal years, that's just what they are. They're seasonal years. But if you add those 4 years up, you come up to 1461 days. That's based on the 1461 years of the Sirius and the heliacal rising. This gives us a very solid reference as far as time division. There are many days during the year where our traditions have maintained the ceremonies and the customs that comes with those ceremonies, all based on energy, and the energies that is coming from many places. But Sirius is, well, it's 6 times bigger than our sun, and the energy is 6 times stronger than our sun. It is because of Sirius that it rains here on Earth. So, and there are many other things, but that's just something small that I can share. So it's just about knowing or understanding how to use these different periods of energy to achieve certain goals. The calendar, I have some calendars that I brought. We produced the sidereal calendars, And this calendar is so important, not only in that it allows you to have a clear reference of point in time, but it informs you of the different periods of the year where the energies are either very strong or very weak. And it comes to give you a navigation on those days. For instance, today is a ancestral holy day. This day comes once every 10 days, every decan. Our calendar is based on 10-day weeks, not 7-day weeks. The new year just started on 9/11. That's our new year. So when the events happened in New York, we were all like, wow. It happened on our new year. I'm sorry? No, no. Yeah, that's another story.
He's very aware.
I don't want But this coming Thursday is the 19th of Tahuti, which is a day that has been celebrated for over 45,000 years. And we still celebrate this day, where a human being was introduced or was able to get close or have an understanding of what it is to be enlightened and have exposure to the divine world and the agreements that we made as humans. And this day we still celebrate. We're going to celebrate it this Thursday. So there's many days like this that many of us are not aware of, that we can really benefit from if we were aware of it. We can really use those energies because the universe, it opens itself up for them. It never really gives us any answers, but it just imposes different methods of investigating it. And I'm very honored to represent such a tradition that has been able to preserve it and still thrive from that. So I don't want to talk too much about that, but we have the calendars here, and we can talk more about
Some other things?
some other things. Okay.
One of the experiences that I've had in my with these beings that I had encountered many years ago was very interesting, and I have that in my book. It was a language that they spoke to me in, and this woman would always come to me, and she would say this one strange sounding word, and the word was Australi. That's how I heard it. Australi. That's the way I heard it. And I knew it wasn't quite right. So I think it was 17 years later, it was 2004, and I was in Hopi, and I heard a little girl speaking to me, and she was a little girl, it was a woman, and she said, Asquali, Asquali. And I went, oh my God, what does this mean? And it meant thank you, from a woman saying thank you, okay, to someone. This is the word that was used. And one of the things that I've known is that language is a powerful, powerful tool to suppress or enlighten. And as I said earlier, and as I shared earlier, the Dogon have Kemetic knowledge from thousands of years ago, from the time of the Egyptians. And during this class that one of the ladies here was actually giving, it was on the hieroglyphics and how, I can't even say anything. I'm just going to ask Big Bai. I'm going to say the language, the hieroglyphic language. I think you will understand what I'm trying to ask because I don't even know how to formulate the question. The language itself is so primal, I would say, that it related what they were sharing with all of these different religions and beliefs, and the Dogon culture. All I've heard for 3.5 weeks that we've been together is about how this one piece of the culture was taken and now it created a whole religion based around their knowledge. Not just a little concept, but a whole religion came from that one piece. So the language, the Kemetic language, is the original language. And so I'm going to ask to just talk about that language and how can we as a society move forward through learning, at least in part. We can start somewhere, right? We can all start somewhere. And how can that benefit humanity?
Okay. I remember being told that human beings actually use less than 10% of their brain. Has anyone else heard that? Okay. Why is that not alarming us to the point of protest? Because if you can imagine now, and let me just say everything that I'm sharing is what I've been exposed to. So I try not to add my own opinions to things. If you can imagine what we're able to do now with using less than 10% of our brain capacity, and actually it's less than 2%. If you can imagine what we're doing now, imagine if we were able to use even 50%. I dare say imagine if we can use 100% of our brain capacity. Things would be demystified at that point. The language that we speak, it really shapes our intelligence. There are passages in our brain where there's a restriction of blood flow. And the only way to get blood to these specific areas of the brain is through stimulating the brain from the inside out. The sounds that we make is what allow for this stimulation to take place. The brain is just a muscle. And if you don't use it with any muscle, it shrinks. Atrophy sets in. The language, the Medu Neter, or as people call it, the hieroglyphics, the holy sacred writings, was such a language and is such a language that deals specifically with stimulating the brain, allowing for blood to get to certain areas, therefore increasing the size of the brain itself, therefore increasing our capabilities to use a greater capacity of the brain. So when they try to rebuild the pyramids, or they're stumped on how did they do this with such precision, and they try to rebuild it with all of the technology that is in the world today, and they still can't do it, maybe it wasn't an alien that came down and showed them how to do this. Maybe they were using a much greater capacity of their brain. And really, to be honest, the traditions are very insulted by that assumption that it was someone else that came down and built these things that we marvel at today. It really marks down the intelligence of a human being. And they're really insulted to think that, wow, why are we not capable of doing this? So this language, it deals with concepts. It deals with things that allow the brain to feel comfortable on this planet. Our identity is linked to this planet. We're connected with all planets, but our identity as humans are linked to this planet, so the brain needs to feel comfortable on this planet. So when we use words, that does not make sense, and we try to force concepts on the brain that does not make sense, that leads to the degeneration of the brain itself. Our brain shrinks, atrophy sets in. I'll give you just an example. Sometimes we say bad meaning good, right? Well, well, maybe it's just black people, I don't know.
I'm from Canada. I don't even know what that's all about.
Okay, I'll give you an example. Someone may say, that was awfully nice of you. You see? So on one side, it's awful, which carries its own connotation. And the other, but it's in the same sentence to say that it's good. But that does not make sense to the brain. But we force that concept to make sense to the brain to communicate, because that's how we know how to communicate. This is destroying us. People say what you don't know won't hurt you. But what we don't know is killing us. It's killing us. And this language is for humanity. It's for humanity. And this is why we teach the language and we deal with concepts. For instance, there's no word for love in this language. Very old. There's no word for love. Because love was introduced to humanity as a word that really has no meaning, but it can mean anything you want it to mean. The language deals with concepts. So it deals with the concept of love. It's a behavior. But it's not a word that means love. It's only in the modern times because people kill people in the name of love. So this is just one example of how we use the language and how this language that we're using is really not serving us other than just to communicate with each other. But you really don't need to communicate through words. We don't need words to communicate. We communicate through energy. The same distance that I'm sitting from Miriam, where I can reach out and touch her, is the same distance I am from someone in China when I can reach out and touch them. The earth and the energies, the horizontal and the vertical energies allow us to do this. But we have to be in tune and we have to know how to tap into these things. But the learning starts when we just admit that we really don't know. And I'm not sitting here, and I hope I'm not giving the impression that I know everything. I'm still learning as well. But it's so much. It's so much. But if we think we know, we really kill our ambition to learn. And all of the things, as I mentioned yesterday, all of the things that were discussed on the stage with the metaphysics and with the planets and the stars and things like that, we know all about those things. But the path to get to that is a spiritual path. It's not a scientific path. It's not an academic path. Because when you're dealing with that type of spirituality, there are many things that are purely technical. It's not based on like what I believe or what I think, or there's things that are very technical in the nature. So it's a very important language, and I can talk all day about the language. So
I encourage any of you that want to learn a little bit more about this to, they're going to have a table set up, so you'll be able to go and have a conversation with Big Bai and the people that are here to share a little bit more about that. I want to go and move forward to something that I know that everyone wants to know, really around the world. and to give us some insight on this. Through the cycle that we have as a species and planetarily, okay, for where we are, we recognize that we are in a very unique time, meaning we haven't been here before in this moment. It's always new. As Big Bai shared yesterday, everything is always changing. But this time that we're in is also an exceptional awakening for humanity, and it is a pivotal point. And this is something that we all internally recognize, and for anyone out there watching, maybe even beginning to recognize, which is also a blessing. So in relation to the culture and the history and the calendar and the energies that we have and the position of the Sirius star system at this moment and with the physics and with everything, where are we in this process? And are you aware of that? What can you share with us about the spiritual path, that this timeline that we're on right now? What can you give us and share with us about that?
This is a period of cleansing, and the planet itself is cleansing itself, because the planet Earth, or as we know it, Ta, this planet will do whatever it needs to do in order to preserve itself, even if that means getting rid of all of us. The planet is still going to be here. And we are in that period now where there's a cleansing that is going on. The energies coming from these stars are very powerful at this time. There's many people who are now feeling something. They really can't explain it or put it into words, but they know that there's something taking place. And I don't want to sound cliche to say, well, there's a shift happening, but there is.
Let's be clear.
And what is most interesting about this shift that is happening is many more things are about to come to the light that will shock people, as far as, and it will even cause a lot of anger. It's going to cause a lot of anger, because the people will see just how deep the manipulation has been, how deep the brainwashing has been, how deep the lies have been. And it's going to cause a lot of anger. But I don't think that anger will last very long, because there's people working, preparing for that and preparing to help deal with that. And this is why we're trying to, the work that we're doing is just simply to expose people to who you are, to know who you are as a human being and your relationship with this planet, because at the end of the day it boils down to survival. And if we want to consider ourselves survivors, then we have to do what leads to survival. So this is a very interesting period that we're in, and so many things, get ready everybody, so many things are about to come out that's been right under your nose the entire time, but you haven't been able to see it. We call this, we have a term we call the garlic effect. And the garlic effect is actually, this is a true, and it's very short, but this is a true story. Have you ever heard of the priest Amenhotep? Anyone? Okay. He was one of our first prophets. And he went to visit a temple in the Nile Valley. And another priest came up to him and said, "Oh, prophet, I hear you talking about the world is in danger, but when I look around, I just see the majesty of the human genius. I see all of these wonderful things that we've built, and I see the world is just thriving and it's peaceful. Where is the danger?" And Amenhotep said, "Ambition." And the priest said, "I don't understand." He said, "Okay, I'll show you. When you go home tonight, leave your door open before you go to bed. Just unlock your door." So the priest went home and he unlocked his door and he went and he laid down. Amenhotep had another priest take some garlic and grind it up. And he said, "Go to his house where the priest is asleep and put the garlic on his mustache." And that's what he did. So the next day, they meet at the temple. And Amenhotep says, "What does my cloth smell like to you?" He said, "It smells like garlic." He said, "What does these flowers smell like to you?" He said, "It smells like garlic." He said, "What does this temple smell like to you?" He said, "It smells like garlic." He said, "For you, even the entire universe will smell like garlic because I'm the one that put that there for you to make everything smell like garlic." The ambition, that was an example he gave him of his ambition to control that individual. I say that to say everything that you think, everything that you say, everything that you feel, who put that there for you? Where did that come from? This is the fundamental question that every one of us has the right to ask ourselves.
I think there's 1 minute left. And I'm not going to say another word other than thank you.
Well,
Okay, well, love. Hello? I have some, okay. Hi, everyone. We're going to take a short, how long is the break, Tommy? We've got 15 minutes, and then David Wilcock will be starting. So please come back in plenty of time to arrange yourselves so we can keep the schedule moving. We did take a tiny bit of time here to allow the Dogon and Miriam to speak. And so if you wouldn't mind. Thank you very much.